Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be going over box number 8 and 9 of a giant $2,000 untested camera and camcorder lot that I purchased. The first 7 boxes have provided us with a little over $3,000 worth of potential value based on either testing the camera or assigning a value to it. So I'm hopeful that these 2 boxes are going to move us along the path of getting closer to that $6,000 target. And whether this is your first time here or whether you've watched a few of the prior videos around this series, hi, my name's Kevin, and I am super excited to get into these. All right, we're gonna go ahead and open box number 8 and see what we got inside. It's kind of like Christmas every time I open one of these boxes. All right, we have a variety of stuff in here, it looks like. So I'll put that down on the ground and we will pull these out. My full-time job, strange as it sounds, is actually buying and selling used digital cameras and camera equipment. I've been doing this now for 7 years full-time and a few years before that part-time. And it seems like a funny way to pay the bills, but it works. I sell primarily on eBay. I have a link now in the description of this video if you want to check it out. I didn't start this channel to use it as an avenue to sell cameras, but if you see something you're interested in, it normally takes me a few days to a few weeks to list the products because I have to take pictures and it's just kind of time consuming. I enjoy this part of the process a lot more, is the finding the cool stuff. All right, let's pull out the first one that I saw, which is a Minolta in a box. Very rare. If you watch any of the prior videos, we haven't had a bunch in boxes. This is a Minolta MN50 HD camcorder, 20 megapixels. Actually did a review of another Minolta camera that I bought that was a 48 megapixel camera. Pretty dicey performance, E1080p, very slim. Actually looks like a Toshiba Cameleo camcorder. There we go, that's what it looks like. It looks to be in really decent shape, I would say. Uses standard USB cable in the back. Oh. And it uses an NP60 battery, which looks like this. Got a quick charge battery here, just put it in, and the camera is powering on. Yeah, this is in decent working condition. With the box and accessories, you're looking at a value of about $40 on this camcorder. Not a huge value, but easy to list. Let's see what else we got. We've got a Sony MVC FD5, the square camera. Kind of a neat camera. I've sold this camera just a few times. You've seen a number of other Mavicas if you've watched any of the other videos. Some Sony MVC FD73s that use floppy disks. And I think this one may use the same. Let's check. Yeah. Uses a Sony NP F330 battery, or F530 battery, which is a higher capacity battery. Looks like this. The camcorder itself physically looks to be in decent shape. So I do have a battery I'm going to put in and we'll see how it works. I keep a bunch of batteries just off to the side here that are charged and ready to use for like 40 or 50 cameras, plus a variety of alkaline batteries. Kind of neat. Throwback to older times. This is how technology advances, actually. It's just by iteration and iteration and making things smaller and smaller and more compact and usable. So I just put the floppy in there, and I think this is the charged battery. Ah, turns on. Nice. Let's see if it takes a picture. The value of these kind of depends on what's included. If this was untested, this would sell for like 10 or 15 bucks, but since it's tested and working, if you include a charger and that disc with it, the value on this camera on a site like eBay in the United States is going to be about $30. Sony MVC FD5. Fairly unusual. What else we got in here? Number 3, we've got a Sony Handycam Video 8 CCD-TR54. So this is a high 8 tape camcorder. It has a viewfinder only and uses this little battery pack that actually takes a bunch of AA batteries. You can see it here. So this was kind of an unusual deal, but prevented a lot of... Oh, this has corrosion on the back. Oh, see? Look at that. The battery acid actually worked its way through the case of the camera and into the contact points on the back. So that would mean that the AA batteries in here are probably super corroded. And if you've seen any of my prior videos, you know battery acid and corrosion is something that we deal with a lot. Clean off the area a little bit. The contact points have a little bit of corrosion on them, so I'm just going to use a little brush here. I like to see cameras and camcorders end up in the hands of people that can use them, or people that can fix them if they're not working. So throwing items away really is a last resort for me. May have eaten through the metal contact points on the back of the unit, which is where I'm seeing corrosion on the tiny little posts that you can barely see right here. There's corrosion on them. Yeah, I'll try to work on this one a little bit later and see if we can get that those contact points cleaned off a little bit. But for right now, no value on this, unfortunately. If this was tested and working and tape tested with a high-8 tape, one of these guys, then the value on this actually is pretty decent. If it had come with some cables and stuff, I've seen these sell for $75 to $100. But it's just something that you really need to test to make sure that it's working properly. Because like I said, there's a lot of moving parts in these, so they're prone to defect. Okay, JVC mini DV camcorder. Do not have a charger or battery for this one. It has a mini DV tray right here that would accept a mini DV tape, which is a little bit smaller than that tape that I just showed you. Unfortunately, the chance of this working is fairly low. Most JVC mini DV and VHS and high-8 tape camcorders that I see and I end up testing actually don't work. So I won't assign a value to this, but I will test it once I get a battery and a charger for it. If this was working, the value on these is 50 to 100, depending on condition and what's included. You'll see huge variability in prices in a lot of these camcorders. It depends on how many tapes are included, if they're new, what sorts of accessories are included, if there's any adapters. So big variability in pricing that you'll see on camcorders like this. Have not seen one of these in a while. You know, it says Sony, but does that look like a Sony? No. Pretty low quality. This is actually a counterfeit, and you run across these from time to time. Battery box. Does that look like a Sony battery? No. These are very, very low quality knockoffs. And I haven't run across one in actually a while. Digital Video Camcorder Pal. That's what it says. So you'll see these pop up from time to time, and people think they're actually Sony, but they're not. They're made in China knockoffs. You don't see a whole lot of counterfeit cameras and camcorders. Very, very, very uncommon, just due to the specificity and the complex parts involved. And when they are made, they often look like this, and let's just say that's not a great knockoff. It's not like a high-quality Louis Vuitton knockoff. It's a low-quality, slummy knockoff. No value there. Moving on. Fujifilm FinePix S3000 XD. Ooh, it has a card. This card, despite its diminutive size, and it's both diminutive size as well as its actual small file size, has a decent amount of value. These cards sell for around $20 at this size, so that's great. And adds a little bit of value if you do end up selling a camera like this. There is battery acid and corrosion inside of the battery tray. Doesn't look horrible. So I'm going to try to do a light cleaning real quick and let's see if this thing powers on. Doing this, there's a trash can down here. I'm doing it over the trash can. Nope. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, so it only powers on when I put a ton of pressure on this right side, which is where that loose door is. So I'm going to have to work on this one a little bit. You often see people, maybe this one day that has some residue on the side, that tape, but then you have to take the tape off to change the batteries out. And most of the time the batteries last for 150 to 250 shots, depending on how much the flash is used. So still has a little bit of value. I'm not going to assign any value to the camera yet because I do need to test it. If it was in working condition, it would have without the battery door issue, it would have a value of about $30. This card, however, does have a value of about $20, so I'll throw the card into our overall number. got here? I haven't seen something like this yet. Oh, it's an HP PhotoSmart A646. Kind of looks like a little boom box. It's like a portable printer. But if they're tested and working, they can have nominal value. Wow, there's not much in this box. Guys, this has the fewest amount of stuff that we've seen yet. And this is the last item in the box. A Canon AE1 program box. That's a good start. Hey, it still has the instructions too. Very, very popular. One of Canon's probably best-selling SLRs of all time. Canon A1, Canon AE1, Canon AE1 program. Here she is. I don't sell a ton of these, and I'm sure a lot of the viewers out there who've used these actually have more experience with them than I do. So if you've shot with a Canon A1, AE1, 35mm camera, leave a comment down below. What do you like so much about it? Is it the picture quality, the ease of use, ISO settings? What is it that draws you to this camera? The lens options? There's a ton of Canon FD mount lenses that work with this. Curious to know. I don't have a battery for this, but we just do a quick checkout and just see what everything looks like. So this is the Canon FD 50mm lens. Very common lens. And looks to be in good shape. I don't see any haze or mold. The barrel moves smoothly. This looks really quite nice. And the way that you remove these from the body if you haven't used them is there's a little switch right there. A button. And you just push the button and then rotate. And then you can remove it from the body. So yeah, lens is good. The lens value is going to be $50. There's a variety of 50mm lenses that Canon made. So make sure that if you were to sell these or if you're looking to buy one, that you're looking at the specific model, because there's Canon Lens FD 50mm 1.4s that actually have a substantially more value. Those are fun to shoot with. I've shot with that with an adapter on a mirrorless camera. That was super fun. Really good bokeh on that lens. Little bit of dust inside the lens, but still value of about $50 there. And then the body looks decent. Let's open and see how the film... Yeah, that looks pretty clean actually. So in all likelihood, this may work, but I don't have anything to test it right now. And I have sold these untested over the years. Truly untested, like this one is. I don't have a battery to test. And like I said, you may be more knowledgeable than me, but I've sold the untested bodies for around $50, but I have seen fully tested with film, camera, and lens sell, depending on what's included, for $125 to $200. So I'm going to assign a value on the body untested of 50, so we've got 50 and 50. Actually, yeah, I would sell this untested probably with the box, because the box, even though the condition isn't great, does add a little bit of value. That was that. That was a quick box, my goodness. And now we are moving on to box number 9. Gosh, this one's heavy. Jeez, this one's super duper heavy. Whew. That one's got to be beating that 25, 30 pound mark. Okay, here we go. What do we got in here? Packed full. All I see right now are film cameras. Give you a little look here. A lot of them have cases. So this might be a good box. This might be a good one. I got my my shelf fixed, I think. I was a little bit cockeyed. Okay. Lots of film. Lots of film. Got a Pentax IQ Zoom Easy Y camera. Sold this particular camera quite often. No film inside, looks decent. Closes fine. I think this uses the CR2 battery, which is a really small, maybe CR123. Ooh, I'm almost out of CR123s. Yeah, it uses a CR123 battery. Put it in, and then the on-off button is up on the top there. On-off button is right there, so we'll hit that. Lens moves in and out. I heard the flash engage. Clean off the lens a little bit. That all sounds promising. Let's turn on the flash and give it a test. Nice. Yeah, I thought this one would probably work. Cool. Lens a little bit noisy. But maybe that should be the tagline of my channel. Older camera lenses can be noisy, because it's true. The value on this camera, I've sold this one a bunch, is going to be about $35. And there's a bunch of different Pentax IQ Zoom models available. The 1050s, the Easy Ys, there's scores of them. And their value fluctuates a little bit depending on what features are included. If there's date, this one does have a date, which is right here, and it's working. A lot of these date cameras have separate coin batteries for the date. So sometimes I forget, but I do like to mention if the date back is working or not. All right, Olympus Infinity S. Sold this one as well. It's another 35mm film camera. This uses a CR123 or 2 AAAs. So you can pick your poison on this. I'll use a CR123. Oh, it's a weird deal. So I think to turn this on, you just open the front. Yeah, I heard the flash, and the light came on the top. Due to the sheer volume and varieties and styles and brands of film cameras, there's a number that I have not personally tested. So, if you're seeing something I'm missing, leave it in the comments to help me out for next time. I'll try to remember. But this has a fixed 35mm f3.5 lens. It looks like you can set it to macro with a little button right here. But let's go ahead and just... Oh, there we go. Flash fired. I just had to put it in a little darker situation. So this camera appears to be working fine. It's not film tested, but it has been tested, flash fires, and it sounds like the film would advance. The value on the Olympus Infinity S is going to be, in this condition, probably in that 35 to 40. I'll probably list it for 40, but you'll see this anywhere from 60 to 150, depending on the condition and what's included with it. Oh, I just saw more. I just saw more in the box, and I saw a good one. So we'll pull that out coming soon. And it's a digital camera, not a film camera. What do we got? A Kodak V35. Kodak VR35. I don't know if I've used this one before. 35mm. K12 DX program. Not really familiar with this. Has the flip up style. Kind of looks cool. Certainly retro looking. I have not used this camera and I'm not familiar with it. Huh, big old screwdriver. What do we got in here? What is that? A 9-volt battery I don't have. That one's original to the camera. So I'm going to have to see, I'm going to keep this one around and hopefully I will come across a battery that will work in it. It is actually made in Japan. Interesting. I'm going to look this up. Kodak VR35. When I look stuff up, I'm looking at eBay, as well as for rare items like WorthPoint, which is a subscription-based model that unfortunately you have to pay for, but it goes back many, many years, not only on eBay, but also on various other international as well auction websites, as well as physical auctions. So if you're looking at, say, a Leica or something, or a fairly rare or unusual camera from many years ago that just doesn't come up for auction very often, you can check one of those sites out, and hopefully you can ascertain a value a little bit better. Okay, so just looked it up. There's quite a variety for sale right now on eBay, anywhere from 15 to 45, depending on condition. So I won't assign a value on this now, but hopefully I'll get a battery and I'll be able to test it, because it looks kind of neat. All right, we got a mystery camera in this case here. Nikon Nuvis 110i. Okay, does this use AP? APS film? I think it does. Okay, this does use APS film, which is kind of more or less obsolete. I've seen a few places online, I think, that develop it. There's not a ton of places. So as such, the value of this compared to other older Nikon cameras that use 35mm film is substantially less. I just looked up sold listings on eBay, and there's only 2 that have sold in the last 90 days, which is not very much. And the value is only in that $12 to $15 range. So let's just go ahead and test it and see if it works. See here if the flash works. Yeah, so it appears to be working fine. But not a whole lot of value. So we'll assign a value of $15 on this Nikon Nuvis 110i. Ooh. Pentax IQ Zoom 700. I'm just talking about how many different models Pentax made over the years. A lot of these cameras were made in Hong Kong and Korea, and this one is actually made in Japan. So that's neat. I like to just look at where things are made just to get a better idea of where manufacturers made the cameras and kind of in what eras, and a lot of it depends on the price points too. It uses 2 CR123 batteries, it looks like. So of those. I'll leave a link in the description of this video for the CR123 batteries that I use, as well as a few other batteries if you're interested. I've tried a lot throughout the years, and the ones that I'll have down there are the ones that I found to work the best. That doesn't seem normal, does it? I didn't touch it. Didn't do anything to it. Let's do a little more testing on this. Bummer. If this was working, the value on this would be between 40 and 50. Shoot. Yeah, dang. So I won't assign a value to it right now. Bummer. Okay, got a little red case here. Ooh! Love to see it. Canon PowerShot A2600. So we do have some digital cameras in here. This wasn't even the camera I was looking at when I said I saw something good. This is great. So this uses the Canon ND11L battery, if this one's not working, which I have a bunch charged. Let's see if this one works. Ooh, it does. This is in really nice shape. Lens looks good, just needs a little bit of cleaning. I'm going to move the lens in and out, see if it moves smoothly, and see if we have any dust inside the sensor. And all of it looks good. I'm going to put a memory card in. This uses regular SD memory. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? A lot of the cameras I use can't use a 64 gig, but this one will. There we go. Cool. So pair a charger with this Canon PowerShot A2600, a USB cable, and a memory card, and the value on this guy is going to be right around $75, $80. If you had the Canon, this is strange, if you had the Canon PowerShot A2500, which actually came out a little bit earlier than the A2600, it would have more value than this for some reason. Another case. I see 7 or 8 more cases in there, so why don't we go on a little case run? Just do cased cameras. Old Nikon case with a Nikon Zoom Touch 500 35mm quartz state film camera. And it looks to be fairly worn. Fairly worn, but overall okay. Hopefully it doesn't have a lens issue. Some wear on the screws on the bottom. How's that? Is that good form? It's like I'm holding a pencil. 2 CRP5 or CR223. That's what it looks like. I don't know if it'll work or not. The lens is kind of stuck out, and it's got the housing issues. So probably a 50-50 shot of this one actually working properly, I would say. So no value on this one for now. All right, another case. London Fog. They made handbags and camera stuff, and vaguely remember them. Ooh, Nikon Light Touch Zoom 120 ED 35mm film camera in really nice shape. Look at that beauty. So this came out a similar time as the Olympus that looked fairly similar. Pretty good optical zoom on this guy. And I think it uses a CR123. It does. So pull one of those out. Ooh, looks good. Powered on, everything looks really nice. Lens moves in and out smoothly. Yep. Yeah, this is in really great shape. Ooh, it has panorama mode too. So panorama mode actually stretches out the field of view just a little bit, and kind of interesting. I just took that one in panorama. Back to regular here. And the value of this camera in its current condition, which is very good, with a battery, is going to be right around that $65 mark. Might be able to get upwards of $75 for it. But yeah, that's really nice. Okay, with that, I think we crossed over $200 on this box. So this box is looking very good so far. Very good so far. Got another one in a case. Kodak case. Let's see if we got a Kodak camera inside. Kodak Star 735. Oh, super corroded. Super corroded battery tray there. So I'm going to have to clean that one off in a bulk lot of cameras with battery issues. So with cameras like this that have battery issues, I try to put them all together and then try to work on them about the same time, get kind of an assembly line station going. So no value on this guy for now, but still, even if it was in good tested working condition, not a whole ton of value. Another case, we've got a Nikon with a carabiner. Ooh. Nikon Coolpix AW100 waterproof underwater digital camera. Sell these pretty often. Uses a Nikon E&L 12 battery, and there is one in here, and it is a Nikon. See if the power's on. No power. I'll go grab a battery real quick for it. Looks to be in good shape. We'll swap it out. This can charge either through a USB port plugged in here or through a replacement like wall charger. It's a good camera. Started with the Nikon Coolpix AW100, and now they're up to latest W series. They made a Nikon AW110, AW120, AW130, W300. They're all really nice waterproof cameras. Pretty tough and durable. You often see like house inspectors use underwater cameras and tough cameras as well, especially by Olympus. Very popular. Power's on. Power's on and looks good. So we're going to try taking a picture real quick with the flash. Oh, it was in easy auto mode. That's why. I don't like easy auto mode. Kind of takes everything away from the camera's functionality, in my opinion. Okay, we've got the flash set to on. Flash fires. This is in really pretty good shape. A lot of times you'll see the cameras have a lot of scratches on the LCD screen because they're used in kind of saltwater or water conditions, but this camera, it looks really good. And one of the ways that you can tell is lack of corrosion in both of the side metal posts here. So that's something you'll see often with Nikon waterproof cameras, is a lot of corrosion here as well as inside of the battery compartment. So you want to check that, and that looks really good. So value on the Nikon Coolpix AW100 in good working condition like it is, with a memory card, a charger, and potentially a USB cable, you're looking at a value of about $85 on this. Okay, I've got another case here. This looks to be a digital camera, says Sony. So maybe a Sony DSC W8 series camera for lucky. Oh, we got a charger and a battery. Wah wah. Sony NPBN1 charger, can always use one of those. These run for like $7 or $8. Another case. Oh, an old Canon case. Let's see what we got inside here. Ooh. Canon PowerShot A2300. I have sold a bunch of these. Does appear to have dead pixels on the LCD. And you can see them even when the camera's turned off. And I don't know if I can get a good enough angle for you to see what I'm looking at here. But basically there is black, what looks like black tendrils of pixels that are showing. Lens looks good actually. And here is what I'm talking about with those. I hope we can see the black spots. So it looks like they're just on the display. Let me go ahead and take a picture with the flash, and yeah, flash fires. Cool. So it's just the LCD splotches with dead pixels that is going to be the problem here. And if you pair this with a charger and then fully disclose that issue by taking some pictures of it and noting in the description, the value on this camera is going to be in the $40 range. If this was in good working condition, you'd be looking at a value of more 80 to 90 without the display issue. So this camera should, and I will test here in a little bit just to make sure the output looks good, but still will take fine pictures. So sometimes if you're looking for a deal, you can find something with minor issues and still take good pictures and get kind of a bargain on it. We've got an Olympus bag here. Let's see what we got inside. An Olympus X43 AA powered digital camera. Little digicam here. And it's 14 megapixels. Has a big splotch on the LCD. Very dark spot. Looks like a blueberry. I hope we can see it. Blueberry splotch. Power's on. This is what I'm talking about with the splotch there. Flash should fire. Eventually. You can do it! That voice kind of reminds me of Mario a little bit. Speaking of Mario, going to see it with my son this weekend. So if you've seen Mario, the movie, leave a note below. It looks to have gotten mostly good reviews so far. One of my first gaming consoles was a Sega Genesis, followed by a Nintendo N64. And we played Mario Kart all the time growing up. So it's got a lot of sentimental memory, and me and my kids also play some things on their Switch that are Mario based, and it's just a really fun time. So value of this camera, a little bit of a squeaky lens with that LCD splotch issue, is going to be, we'll call it, we'll call this $17.99. I'm going to call this $18. If that was in good working condition, the value of this camera would be closer to 25 to 30 for an Olympus X43. That might do it with the cases. Oh, there's another case. Got a tiny little case here. Woo! Canon ELPH Jr. It is tiny. Tiny little camera. Does this use APS film too? I think it does. Yeah, it's empty. You know what? I'm not even going to test this one. You know where you're going? You're going up here next to your brother. You're going to have to make way for one more camera for a second ELPH on the shelf. Not a whole ton of value there. Maybe like 10 or 15, but not a super popular film style. There's not a lot of places that develop it, so of limited value, but kind of a cool camera and definitely there for nostalgia. So you can chill up there, little buddy, with your friends. Okay, this was the camera that I saw. And I thought it was a Canon PowerShot A1400, which is a nifty little, really pocketable AA powered point and shoot camera. I've done a review on it. Takes some cool pictures. But it's a Canon PowerShot A810, which is very similar and often available at a little bit lower price. Let's turn it on. It did turn on. Huh, lens does zoom out. Let's see how the picture looks. Oh, picture looks decent. Wow. Let me clean this up a little bit. I like to test cameras if I can with a memory card, because in rare situations, sometimes the camera's reading of the memory card is not correct, and the memory card just doesn't insert properly or seat properly. So I do like to test things with memory if I'm able to. Takes a picture. See if we can get that flash to fire real quick. Do it down here when it's a little bit darker. Yep, flash fires. Looks good. So this camera is in decent working condition. Has some wear on the front, as you can see there. But overall decent. And the value on this guy is going to be about 50 bucks if you include a memory card and a USB cable. Well, that should put us close in that $400 range for this box so far. And I think our previous high on all of the boxes that we've done before this is around $650. So we're on our way, as Phil Collins likes to say. I think that's one of his songs. Good old Phil Collins. One of my favorites. Kind of a polarizing singer. I have a twin brother who has less than fond opinions about Phil Collins, but good old Phil. Let's see. Canon PowerShot SD780 PowerShot digital camera. Strangely had a Canon NB11L battery inside of it, which is not the right battery for this camera. This camera uses an NB4L battery, which looks like this. Put it in there and see if it works. This is in pretty rough condition. And the switch, the toggle switch for the menu, it's not working. It's broken. So it's falling from top to bottom. So it's not going to be selectable menu, which is going to be an issue. But let's see if it powers on. It does power on. And has quite a bit of dust visible through the viewfinder, which means there's potentially dust inside of the sensor, which does affect the picture quality. Especially as you zoom in and out, it can affect it big time. So this camera, unfortunately, I won't assign a value to. If this was in great working condition, these camera values have gone up quite a bit. On this and the SD1400, I don't know if it's from, I just got into YouTube recently, but I've seen other YouTube channels that have featured cameras similar to this. I don't know if that's a part of it. But if this was in really good working condition, like I was saying, the value is actually quite high, like over $100 $125 for this camera. I'm going to have to do a little more digging and see if I can get this thing fixed, but even as is for parts, this has a little bit of value. Here we go. All right, next camera. Nikon L840 bridge digital camera. Sold a bunch of these, available in this color, red and black. Really cool 38x optical zoom. And I've seen people take cool moon pictures with this, actually. Unfortunately, we've got the dreaded, the maligned acid inside of the battery compartment. So this is going to be one that I will add into my pile of cameras to work on and test and see if I get it into working condition. Based on the condition of the compartment and based on my prior history of having done this quite often, I'd give this a 50-50 chance of working. So I won't assign a value to it yet. And the numbers I'm writing down are just for this video and keeping track of the overall actual potential numbers. I keep all of the inventory that I get that has any value on a spreadsheet for tax time and for keeping track of the inventory that I get. And because I do this for a living, I do have to pay taxes on all this stuff. So it's easier for me to keep track of things that way. And I have to pay taxes quarterly for estimated taxes based on my estimated sales. Okay, I'm reading it right now. It says, starting on January 1st, eBay and other marketplaces are required by the IRS to issue a Form 1099-K for all sellers whose sales exceed $600. So if you sell over $600 on eBay, you would get that, and you would have to file it for your taxes. Again, not giving tax advice, just reporting what eBay is saying. So I do get one of those every year, and that's the overall gross number that you report, and then you take off whatever you would have paid for these cameras, plus batteries that you would buy, plus travel if you're traveling to get inventory. All of that stuff gets factored into the overall net profit number and your actual take-home pay. This is a Samsung HC30W with some cracks on the top of the camera. And I believe Samsung HC30W. I think when this camera was released, I was actually working directly with Samsung. I used to be a camera buyer, which is a person that works to procure cameras or equipment from manufacturers and sells them. In my case, I sold it for 6 retail stores in Montana, as well as online sales, and I did that for close to 4 years and worked directly with Canon and Nikon and Panasonic and Casio and a bunch of other brands as well. And Samsung was in that, and I think when this camera was released, I actually bought this camera for the stores. We didn't do a huge business in Samsung. It was still kind of a fringe brand that was trying to get in the door in not only cameras, but at the time also getting into laundry. So they started selling washers and dryers about the same time they were kind of pushing into the digital camera market. I'm going to have to test this one. It uses an SLB11 battery, which I don't have a charged one. But even still, it has some issues, so we'll have to see. Lens looks iffy. So not sure about value on this one. If it was tested and working, it would have an okay value of like 25 to 35, I believe. When this camera was released, I think the retail price of it was like 200, maybe? 250, if memory recalls. Ooh, got a Canon. Canon PowerShot A720. Ooh, battery compartment looks good. Like to see that. Like to see that. This is a camera that has gone up in price a lot. I used to sell these cameras kind of all day long for like $20, $25, but since the pandemic and the Digicam phenomenon, the value of this camera has gone up quite a bit. It's gone up, I think, to like 60 to 100 depending on condition, which is pretty crazy. But everything is supply and demand, I guess, including cameras. I've been doing this for a long time, and I just haven't really seen that so much in cameras, so it's a little bit odd to see. So it turns on and then immediately powers off. Let's see what's going on here. So sometimes what happens over time is the internal posts in the battery compartment get bent down as you apply the batteries over and over again, and it can reduce the contact point and not allow the camera to power on. So what I'm doing is just gently nudging them upwards a little bit so they're a little bit more like this instead of pushed down like that. So let's try that and see if it works. I think it might have. Yep. Cool. I don't know many tricks, but that is one that I do know. And I'm not saying that you should do that on your camera. If it's a really old camera and they're brittle, it can actually break the posts. So I'm just doing that because I would rather try it and see if it works than worry about breaking it. But your situation may be different. So this camera looks to be decent. The lens has some dust in it, but I don't see any scratches. Let's go ahead and try to take a picture real quick and see if the picture works. It's got a viewfinder up here. Yeah, flash fires. Okay, Canon PowerShot A720 in fair working condition with a memory card, batteries, and a USB cable is going to have a value of about $65. If this was in really great working condition with a box and all the original accessories, this I've seen sell for around $100 to $150. So that camera putting us over like $475 for this box, and we still have quite a bit left in it. Sony DSC H70. This box feels like it's kind of making up for the first box we did in this video, which is pretty lackluster. Let's see. NPBG1 battery. We got a charge one over here. I think this camera uses either SD or Memory Stick Pro Duo for memory. Oh man, that's not good. So LCD issue. The problem is this doesn't have an optical viewfinder, and without that you can't really even do anything with the camera. Can't see what you're changing in the menu, so it makes the camera pretty much worthless unless you're able to fix it. So this would go in the 4-part section. So no value on this. If this was working, it would have a decent value of like 50 to 75 depending on what was included. Alright, we got a Canon next. Canon PowerShot SX130. I also remember this camera coming out. I was in sales at the time at the same company that I worked for and did training on this model. I remember the lens being very noisy. Uses AA batteries. Condition looks suspect. We'll see he's got a ton of wear, scratches. So we'll see. Oh, lens didn't even sound that bad. Some dust inside the lens and some... Oh, there's an impact mark on the LCD, so there's a crack right there down on the bottom as well. Just powers off, power back on. Buttons aren't working. None of the buttons are working. The shutter button's working. Okay, this is going to be a 4-parts camera as well. If this was in really good working condition, it'd have a value of 50 to 75 actually. Still a cool camera. I mean, I personally had one a long time ago as well, and I used the heck out of it. Had a pretty good optical zoom for its day, 12x optical. Neat little guy. Alright, we've got a Sony DSC W80 in silver. This uses also the Sony NP-BG1 battery. Strangely enough, I just sold one of these yesterday in black. In really good shape with a memory stick for 75. This one's not in nearly as good a shape, but it is powering on. Lens moves out. Lens looks decent, just has some dust on it. Move it out all the way here. That looks good. Flash is on. Let's take a picture real quick. Say cheese, camera! Cheese! Okay, works. Oh no. Okay, so there's a top piece that's loose up here. Do you see that? So it looks like it may have cracked at some point or a screw came loose. So that's something that would need to be fixed or disclosed. Won't affect the actual performance of the camera unless maybe make it a little bit less weatherproof. There we go, it just popped off. So we'll leave it in there and then just make a note in the description. That will affect the value, of course. So I was telling you guys that the black one sold for 75. This one would have sold for like in that 45 range probably, but with this little issue, I would probably just sell it with the battery for probably 35 and then just make a note. So all of this stuff in condition and wear really makes a big difference in the value of these cameras. Okay, we got an Olympus Stylus 770 SW waterproof camera. It uses XD memory cards in blue. These are tough cameras. These were used, like I mentioned, a lot of these series were used by home inspectors or people that needed something that was rugged they could count on, that when exposed to the elements would still be working. This uses the Olympus Li42 battery. Right there, and there's a lot of other manufacturers that have basically the same battery. So we're going to pull one out and plus minus, get those set up properly. Take a picture, flash fires, cool. So this camera is in fair working condition. If you pair it with, say, like one of those XD memory cards that I had from earlier, then the value on this camera is going to be about $40. Okay, got a little Fujifilm bridge camera, 12x optical zoom, AA powered camera, uses XD or SD. Having a hard time getting the battery door open, which means there's probably corrosion. Ugh. Ugh. I can't even, oh, there we go, getting there. Got it. Oh gosh. Ooh. Ugh, go ahead and close that real quick. That's probably going to be a no-go. One of the hazards of this job, I guess. Ooh, Canon PowerShot ELPH 180. Condition looks okay. This uses the Canon NB11 battery, which we've used before. Put a battery in there real quick. Ooh, power's on. Does appear to be working okay though. Yep, flash fires. Alright, so we'll get this guy cleaned up. And the value on this is actually quite good. If this was in excellent working condition, the value would be like 125. But in its current good working condition, you're looking at a value of about 100 here. Alright, we're over the $600 mark, so this box is looking great so far. Great. This was just like that, which leads me to believe that the battery door may be broken, but we will find out. Maybe not. The lens is stuck out, so it may be that the camera was like stored when maybe it accidentally came on, the lens extended, the batteries died. Some situation like that. Okay, I'll try to test this one a little bit more later. It does appear to have some sort of lens issue. Okay, another little point and shoot. Nikon Coolpix L27 AA powered camera. Ooh, it's got the dreaded sunbeams. The sunbeams are the devil's battery. It's a really low quality battery that barely powers on the camera and more often explodes inside your camera and then causes a lot of issues. Ooh, yeah, this camera's in nice shape. Throw in the card and see if it takes a picture. Nikon was really just a market leader in this sized point-and-shoot digital cameras. They started with the Nikon L1 and moved all the way up to the Nikon L20 series, and then they ended with the Nikon L32, which is our last like really small budget AA powered point-and-shoot camera. Flash fires. This guy's in pretty good shape. Value on the Nikon Coolpix L27 is going to be about 45 bucks. Okay, another Nikon. Nikon Coolpix S3100. This is a lithium-ion powered Nikon ENL19 battery. And I think I've got one of those. And this is a cool little compact 14 megapixel 5x optical zoom camera. Also very popular. Turns on. And the lens moves in and out. See how the lens looks? Lens looks good. Camera looks good. Lens is moving out smoothly and normally. Take a picture real quick and make sure the flash is on. Okay, looks good. So just sold one of these actually. Value on this camera is going to be about 40 bucks with a battery and a replacement charger. Got a Nikon Coolpix S6. It's kind of a wide, one of the first Wi-Fi Nikon digital cameras. Uses the Nikon ENL8 skinny battery, which I have charged. I'll go grab one real quick. Okay, got the battery. Throw her in there. Definitely has a fair amount of wear, I would say. And there's a crack on the bottom of the camera as well. So that's not promising. Turn it on. It does power on. Okay. Lens cover removes itself. Lens moves in and out fine. No dust in the sensor. Let's take a picture real quick. Flash fires. Okay. So it's got that crack on the bottom, which is going to affect the value in a fairly bad way. In really good working condition, I've seen this camera sell for 30 to 40, but in its current condition with that crack right here by the screw, that's going to affect the value, and I would probably expect to get around $20 out of this camera. Alright, we've got a Nikon Coolpix S6300, uses the EN-EL12 battery. This rectangular battery here, I think I've got one, yeah. This one should be charged. Sold a bunch of these over the years. Looks good. The most common issue that I see with this camera is it has lens scratches. A lot of cameras that have longer optical zooms and compact body sizes, you tend to see have some lens scratches. Sometimes the lens cover can get, if it gets bumped, can extend downward and start gouging the lens. So lens moves in and out fine. Flash fires. This is actually in quite nice shape. I would say this is in good working condition actually. Value of this camera in good working condition with a replacement charger and a memory card is going to be right around 60 bucks for the Nikon S6300. Okay, we've got Olympus SH50, I think. No, VR350, my bad. Uses Olympus Li50 battery. Looks to be in okay shape. Has some wear on the lettering and the rear LCD. This is a 10x optical zoom camera. Maybe came out around a similar time as the last guy did, by Olympus. These actually take really nice pictures. Alright, got the charged Olympus Li50. Put it in there, and we'll turn it on. Turn it on and see what happens. Lens moves out, menu turns on. Ooh, sounds good. Cool. Yeah, it looks good. A little bit of wear on the screws on the bottom. And that's all something that I would take pictures of. It's a cool little digicam. 16 megapixels. So pair this with a charger and a memory card, and value on this guy's going to be about 40 bucks. Alright, moving on. Next camera is Olympus. Battery was just open like that. Again, a lot of times when you see that happen, the battery door is actually broken, but this one appears to be working fine. Uses AA batteries, and I think, yeah, regular SD cards. Do this one a full test here. Throw in my 2 gig card. Does appear to have some dead pixels on on the bottom right. It does appear to have a dead splotch of pixels. I've seen that a few times today. Power's on fine. The battery tray looks fine. It's holding in the batteries fine. That's another thing you want to look at. So that's the splotch I'm talking about. You can see it in rectangular down in the bottom here, right there. So that is going to affect the value a little bit. This is an Olympus FE47, which was kind of a budget-minded, pocketable, decent optical zoom digital camera that was made 10 or 12 years ago. And the value on this camera is going to be about $25 with that LCD issue that you would just want to note. Okay, what we got here? Woo! Canon PowerShot ELPH 130. It also uses the Canon ND11L. And this guy's seen some use. Got some wear. Definitely has a little bit of wear. Let's go get a charged battery and see what it does. Put in the charged battery here. Nice. Yeah, there is a micro scratch on the front. Okay. It's going to affect the value a little bit. It doesn't look like it's very large though. Lens moves in and out fine. Let's see if the picture takes. Yeah, okay. Just no memory card, that's why it was beeping. So get this guy cleaned up, and unfortunately the value of this, had it not had the lens scratch, would have been around 100 bucks. But even with the lens scratch, I'll do a little bit more testing. It should not actually affect the picture quality, given its size, it was very small. The value of this with a card and charger is going to be about 50 bucks. I think we're over like 900 bucks for this box so far, if my math is right. So this is by far the best box we've had yet. Super, super duper exciting. Pull out the next one in a little case here. Ooh, Casio Excellent, pink. Just in time for Mother's Day. Casio EX-S5. Sold this camera a bunch. Uses the same type of battery, which is in Casio the NP80. Size memory card, 4 gig, ooh. Power's on, lens looks good. Good old Casio. Test the flash. Cool. LCD has a little bit of wear, but even so, the value of this camera, and pink adds a little bit of value for sure, is going to be about 40 bucks with a memory card and a charger. Okay, Olympus tough. Man, get some cool, tough, waterproof digital cameras. You'd love to see it. Uses the Olympus Li42 battery, and I have one of those. I'll pull it out and we can test it. The camera power's on fine. There's the menu for you. And looks good. Let's try taking a picture real quick. Lens is a little bit noisy. And Has dust in the sensor, it appears. Very visible as you zoom out. So I would probably put this in a lot of cameras that do power on and take pictures but have other issues that impact picture quality, and then other people more knowledgeable than me can give it a crack at getting them into truly working condition. No value on this one. If this had been working, the value on this is actually pretty decent, like 50 to 75. Stop. Okay, what do we got? Sony DSC-W310. Sony CyberShot has a fair amount of wear on the front. This camera uses the NPBN1 battery, which is a thin, skinny battery that Sony used for a lot of years. So I keep them handy. The internal battery latch is missing, broken. There's a blue little latch that would cover the rear part of the battery. Normally the outer door can hold the battery in and the camera powers on and functions fine. We'll see in this case. Does affect the value though. Lens moves out. What I commonly see with older Sony CyberShot cameras is the LCDs often have splotches of darkness. Normally it's just on the display and doesn't affect picture quality, but you can always output the picture to a memory card and then put it in your computer to test. So this camera is working fine, does have the battery latch issue. This was in really good working condition with a charger and a card. You'd be looking at a value of like 40, 45, but in its current condition with the battery latch issue, working, you're looking at a value of probably somewhere around like 22 bucks. Okay, next camera. Fujifilm FinePix F505 EXR. Really well used. Sign of a well-used camera is when you have exposed metal. This is common for older Fujifilm FinePix that I've seen over the years, the exposed metal, but definitely well used. This uses the Fuji NP50 battery, which I have charged. I'll go grab one. Turns on. Let's see if it works. Nope. Turn off the camera and on again, so there's lens error on this camera, but no value for now. What do we got here? Nikon Coolpix L18. So earlier generation AA powered Coolpix camera. Biggest issue I see with these are broken battery doors. So you always want to double check a battery door on an older Nikon Coolpix camera. These in the little battery area. Grab a couple here. Let's see. Looks to be okay. I mean, some wear on the front. The other most common thing I see with this camera are dead pixels. Which again, you can double check when this thing can shoot little movie clips that are kind of fun. Lens is noisy, common. This is a cool digicam. It's I think like 8 megapixels maybe. Doesn't have the side door anymore, so that would affect value a little bit. But pair this with a memory card and you're looking at a value of about 40 bucks here. Nikon Coolpix L18 in blue. Got a few left here. Ooh, Sony case. Oh, that is nice. Canon PowerShot SX620 in an older Sony case. Sweet. This is a newer, still not new. I think this camera came out like maybe 7 or 8 years ago, but it has a 25x optical zoom and actually carries quite a bit of value in the used market. The condition looks to be actually quite good. I don't see any glaring issues, just giving it a cursory look. The flash pops up. Pull out the battery here. Canon NB13L battery. So I just plugged in the camera to charge. It looks to be in good working condition based on cosmetically, and that camera has a value of about 200 bucks actually. If it was mint in box, it'd have a value closer to like 250, 275, but that's a great one. That bumps us over well over 1,000 for this box. Got a couple cameras left too. Canon PowerShot A480 compact AA powered digital camera. Sold a bunch of these. Battery door, again, is the biggest issue that I see with these. Kind of a cool digicam. Very noisy lens. Ah! That's not normal. That's not just noisy, that's When it's zooming out, it looks like it's working fine. When it's retracting, it's having a lot of noise and issues. So there's something going on with the barrel. So I'll try to do a little work on this camera and see if we can get it into working condition. These have actually gone up in value quite a bit as well. I've seen these now sell with a memory card and USB cable in really good shape for 40 to 60, but I'm not going to assign a value for now since it's got the lens issue. Okay, what do we got in here? Ooh, Canon PowerShot SX210, purple. This was one of Canon's first longer zoom, more compact bodies. It has a 14x optical zoom and 14 megapixels. Uses the Canon NB5L battery. Please work. Please work. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, clean the lens a little bit. Nice. Yeah, this is a really nice nice condition. Don't have a memory card in there, so I'll throw one in as well whenever I list it. LCD is great. This is a very good condition. I grade the cameras that I sell in like 4 parts not working, and then describe the condition that they are, and then like fair or fine for something that has quite a bit of cosmetic wear but otherwise is functioning fine, and then I have good, very good, and then mint, and then obviously new. I don't sell a lot of new stuff, but I would put this one in the very good category. But in its current condition, very good condition, this camera was clearly not used very often by the original owner. Value on this is going to be closer to around 80. So we'll do an $80 value on this. Canon PowerShot A2500. This is the camera I was telling you was worth more than the 2600. NB11L battery. Okay, let's throw it in and give it a shot. Lens looks good. Just need to clean a little bit. Lens moves in and out fine. Let's see if the flash fires here. Yep, cool. So pair this with a memory card, a charger, and a cable, and the value on this camera is actually going to be around $125, which is kind of crazy. Color adds a little bit of value for sure on this particular model. So that puts us close to, I think, just over $4,500 for the overall boxes that we've done so far for the purchase price of $2,000. And the target was around $6,000, so we've got a few boxes left, and I'm hoping we can get to that number. But again, as always, thank you so much for watching. It really means the world to me that these videos are being received well, and look forward to making the next video for the next 2 boxes and hopefully getting that out in the next few days. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button and you'll be notified whenever I post a new video.